Yeah, hi folks. Now, the more and more I listen to Wayne Brown, the Mayor of Auckland, the more I like him, simply because he's pragmatic.
The most obvious question, Mr. Mayor. What do you really think? We've got heaps of questions from the floor, so I'm just going to rip into these. First of all, though, time of use charging. If it were only up to Auckland Council or only up to AT, just how quickly would you have to file on the road?
Well, we've done a lot of research already, and AT do have a lot of figures about what numbers of roads and what impact the changes would make. So we're kind of ready to go. What I'd like to do is just have the ability to trial it in a couple of places and see if it works as well as we think it's going to work. And then get the legislation to fit what we're doing. What happens here is they're going to write the legislation in Wellington and we're going to have to fit what we're doing to that. But the people writing the legislation don't understand what they're trying to fix in the first place.
Exactly. They're hopeless.
And that's not just typical of this. There's dozens of cases where we have to adjust to legislation. And as yet, very few people in Wellington can outthink people like me.
I love it. Now, that's what I like about this guy. He's not self-deprecating like most New Zealanders.
There's always a way around whatever they're thinking. So I'd rather let them see what I want to do and then write that around that way. And let's get it right. It may not work straight away. It might need a bit of tinkering. That's the right way to do things. When we introduce some new product onto the roads, we trial it somewhere or other, and if it doesn't work, we reject it or fiddle with it or improve it. We don't legislate it and find out, oh shit, it didn't work.
Exactly. It's pragmatic thinking.
I asked the Minister the same thing, and he said that it was the network concern. That means central government had to have some role in this.
Well, I'm not saying they shouldn't have some role in it. But the taxpayers and the ratepayers are the same people. And a third of them live here. And so I'm not saying they shouldn't have some role in it. And most people just want to drive across Auckland. Most people don't know that when you drive off one of the roads we own onto the motorway, that you're actually changing an ownership. They don't care. It's an Auckland road. It's like they all think I'm the mayor, and they ring up and say, well, there's a problem here with AT, you know. And AT people have told me that 95% or 98% of the people are happy. Well, I can tell you the names and addresses of the other 2% because they all bloody ring me.
If the bridge, the one across the Old Reef, is a cheaper option, why not build it and fund it with value capture or a targeted rate?
Well, it's exactly the right thing to do, but it's not even on the list. And apparently, we're in a partnership with the government over there. I have not even been able to find the office where they're doing the design work and talk to them.
But why can't you drive it?
I am going to drive it. Oh. And this is an opportunity right now. I'm saying this is a sensible thing. I can look out of the window of my office and at low tide, 60% across the harbour is a reef. And then they're saying, for the few people I have mind to find something about it, they say, oh, I'd have trouble getting a resource consent because of Maori issue. Maori are the most commercial people in Auckland. They're good people and you can have a deal with them.
Yeah, because they will make money out of it. It's called a rort.
We are dead lucky to have Ngāti Whātua as our iwi here. They're smart, clever people and they do deals. And when you get to the other side, you've got a short... Our forebears put the bridge where it was. We're getting dumber. Why did they put the bridge where it was? Because it's the shortest distance across the harbour. And they knew bridges were cheaper than tunnels. And they said... when I raised it before some of the people who are listening, who are involved in this thing, they said, oh, that bridge would be going to nowhere important. Well, the first bridge only went to Northcote Point. It wasn't very important until the day that bridge got there, and suddenly it became very important. So this one here would go to just past the sugar works to a big open area there, which is actually owned by the army. And I don't know what they're doing in there. I haven't seen them fighting any battles. But you could develop that and that'd fund the bloody thing. And it'd be $18 billion cheaper. I think that's worth saving.
Exactly.
But I mean, the point is that you could drive this, right?
I'm trying to drive it, but you can't single-handedly do For instance, we don't actually have control of the bridge anyhow. People tell me the bridge is too old. Not nearly as old as the one in Sydney. Not nearly as old as the Tower of London Bridge. Steel doesn't age if you look after it. You do have to do some maintenance.
A couple of other questions here. This one wasn't something you covered in your speech, but obviously you've been pretty public in your comments around road cones. Will you as Mayor take responsibility if your war on road cones and incitement of the public to ignore and reject road safety controls leads to an accident or fatality?
Well, in New Zealand, we bow down to the word safety, and consequently, we have a culture of over-safety. Some years ago, I was appointed as the chairman of the Land Transport Safety Authority after the government had botched the digital driver licence system out. And in those days, we were asked to provide safety at reasonable cost. The word reasonable has disappeared. And now it's got to the stage where the cost of the road, of the traffic management exceeds what you're doing. And that just is, it's irresponsible and foolish. Just today we came, I was being driven here, we went down through Beaumont Street, 200 cones in the middle of the road, nothing happening. And what is it protecting? Little dots in the middle of the road. So the idea that saying, that sort of thinking there is what causes this nonsense. This Councillor Williamson used to be Minister Williamson, and when they brought out the seismic rules upgrades across the country, John Key said to him, you're going to back this? You better back this just in case somebody dies and you get sued. That's not a good reason for inflicting billions of dollars of costs on everybody, that somebody would die. We have wires down the middle of the motorway, and tragically three people got killed in a van because a truck crossed through them the other day. Some things will happen, there will, but we need to have it so that the costs of temporary traffic management don't get so, they've got so high that we're now not building enough roads. And we produced, EY actually did quite good work for us recently, and my own office funded a report on them to see better independently of me, and they've pointed out the legislation gives us exactly what we want. The legislation producers, they've written, that without realising that suddenly it's going to cost more to put the cones out than actually build a road.
Yes, and pioneers don't need cones.
Pioneers don't need cones.
That's just not sensible. People can see that. The public are not stupid. When they're angry about it, it's usually because there's a good reason to be angry about it. Similarly with the road speeds. And I do support the government hammering a bit about more unified road speeds. I walk to work and I don't exceed about 4 or 5 k's per hour the way I'm walking, but I'm sensible. I walk from Ponsonby to where I work in town. I go through four speed zones. I didn't actually realise that until I got a new BYD electric car, and there's a little Chinaman somewhere in the front there looking out and telling me there's 4...
You can see woke Tame get triggered over the word Chinaman. Pathetic.
4 bloody speed zones in there. There's 50, 40, 30 and 10. Now, nobody knows that. It's not a good situation. We're all inadvertently breaking laws.